All right, guys. Getting toward the last few days of August, and we're going to hit the same gear as always. Timeless open comb, 68 gap stainless steel razor with a Nacet in it. And yesterday we hit a big milestone. I was able to complete the little 10 section there to have 570 shaves with the Nacet. And so today, 571 is the count. Pretty sure. The title of the video and the description will have the exact number in case I'm wrong. Midnight Stag is the soap, splash, and cologne, and that's from Chiseled Face. B13 knot from Declaration Grooming. Handle by Dogwood Handcrafts and Briar Brushworks. A hybrid handle there. And I've had my brush soaking for a little while. Yesterday was cool. I had a thought to do something that I hadn't really done before, and it's definitely something I've talked about. I wanted to see if the sheen of this particular soap could be an indicator to building a lather, as in when you see a sheen, stop adding water, you know, that sort of thing. And how it ended up yesterday was that I ended up putting pretty much the whole 2 tablespoons. I think this is what this is, 40 milliliters. Ended up putting the whole amount in the lather, and that happened to be when it didn't really have like a glossy sheen to it like I've seen with some other soaps, but it had a satin muted shine to it. And I'd say it was a little on the shiny side of the satin spectrum, if that makes any sense. So maybe let's do that again today. We will, instead of adding water more slowly like I did yesterday to watch when the sheen or the satin started to develop, maybe we'll go a little quicker, see how it goes, maybe push a little farther, try to get into that super shiny category, and then see if maybe that is too far for this soap, because everybody's different. Not all soaps will give you a sheen when they're really hydrated. Some do, some don't. Some give you a sheen kind of right away, even when they still need more water. So it is just a big variable there. So let's show you the blade that's in the razor. The Nacet is by Gillette. It's got that alligator on the box. Before I started using this guy back in, I don't know, 2017, this blade, I didn't see the Nacets used a whole lot. But I had an Austere August coming up, and I had had some really good shaves with this very blade. And since it wasn't on everybody's radar, I thought, hey, I'll use that during Austere August, and then if it works out, then maybe I'm giving a blade that would help people out more exposure than it normally has, you know. So that was my motivation, and I did not know that it would turn into this huge marathon. I didn't know if it would go the month. That was the first time. When I used this blade for a month, that was the first time I'd ever made one blade go for that long. So this Nacet kind of is the story of me and marathoning. I mean, I've got other blades that I've taken a feather to 70 uses or something like that, but generally it's this Nacet. So here is our Midnight Stag soap. And yep, the soap is kind of making my Blackland, you can't see the logo there. There we go. My Blackland cloth a little stained, so I've decided that I might go ahead and bleach that, and then maybe only use this cloth when I am using a non-brown soap. Maybe white wasn't a great choice for for lathers, right? Maybe it wasn't. All right. So let me get my face splashed with some water. Okay, and then we'll load up. Just like yesterday, shake a good bit. This holds a lot of water. Shake a lot of the water out. Lightly wet is what we're going with. 14 was yesterday. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We'll go with 12 today because 14 gave me a lot more lather than I needed. And then I'm gonna go ahead and work it up with just several swirls to kind of get it started, and then I'm immediately gonna add water, a good bit of it. Maybe like half this jigger at a time. Something like that. Don't really have the time to push it along slowly, kind of like I did yesterday. Of course, yesterday, since I used the whole jigger, it would be unwise for me to use the whole jigger today. I loaded for 2 less seconds. And that could be, and also I think the brush today was a little drier than yesterday, and so those variables could play into making it easy to overwater if I used the same water as yesterday. Already it's starting to come together into something that looks kind of cool. One thing I do recommend, sometime when you have the time, if you're a bowl latherer, I've always recommended, I've said it many times, to take the lather further with the water than you normally do and just see what happens. Take it to where it's goopy and that kind of thing, and that's one thing I've recommended. But another thing is, just one day when you have the time, just mix your lather for 5 minutes longer than you normally might. Let's see what you get. You might get something, if you get something a lot more thick and dense, then you could potentially be overloading and maybe load a little bit less if you want to. But maybe you're doing exactly what you want because of time constraints or something like that. But at least it might tell you something about your lathering. If you went for 5 minutes more and your lather did not change, then that confirms that what you're doing is already good in terms of creating a homogeneous mixture. So that's kind of cool. I do see kind of a bright satin right now. Didn't add the whole jigger, but did add some more. Oh, now that is very loose. So I don't think I want to pursue further and go wetter. Do we have a sheen? Is that more than satin? I think that's kind of the beginnings of a sheen. I think it is more than satin. So let's make sure that we get a good mix here. And one of the ways I do that is sometimes I'll press kind of hard and make sure the center of the knot gets kind of exposed to the lather. and then I'll work it around. Then I'll lighten the pressure a lot where maybe the brush tips are only just barely skimming the bottom of the bowl just to do some mixing. But most of the time I do spend it with a little bit of splay, like maybe 30% in the splay. And I think, and look at that, it's so hydrated that it's just it's begging to be used as a little bit of face wash here. And I did that yesterday, and I think I'm glad I did. I have plenty of lather. I think I'm gonna have a lot today too. Not quite as much as yesterday, so the 12 looks like that might be a good amount for right now. 12 swirls. Isn't that crazy how it's just swirls? I used to count my loading in seconds, you know, and when you're using the same soap over and over, you get that carryover water that's part of the soap, and that makes it easier to pick up, and so you really can dial back your load time the more you use the soap consecutively if you come at it with a wet brush. All right, so since this is a really wet lather, I think I'm just going to go right to my face. I think that is good to go. See, now the Lancaster shave towel that I have is the color that's not going to worry about staining. All right, got this all tightened down. Put on the same shirt I used yesterday that got so goopy because I knew that I was going to get messy probably. We could market new invention idea here. We could have shave shirts. Us YouTubers, maybe our shave shirts would have good shaving principles written on them across the top part, you know. Like more water, or what would be some bumper sticker style, you know, pieces of information that would be handy for shavers. More expensive doesn't always mean better. That applies to soaps, razors, brushes, blades, kind of everything, really. Yeah, so you can see how this is coming off me, and it is definitely hydrated. Or you know what you could do? You could with all this goo on my shirt, right? If I used a shave soap that was dish compatible, then at the end of my shave, I could take my shirt and hang it over in the kitchen. I'm just being silly now, but hang it over in the kitchen and use it to wash the dishes. The residual soap. A little splash of water now. Right here along this, I guess it's a tendon or something. In the beginning, I used to have a lot of problem with that. And I had to learn to check my strokes and go in certain directions, because if I was using an aggressive razor or a blade that I wasn't used to, then I would often get a little irritation right there, since it's a hump, and so your blade has a tendency to have a little too much pressure on the peak of the hump. Definitely had problems there. Splash of water. So yeah, this is a good lather too. It's obviously very, very loose and wet. Some people might think it's too wet. There are some aficionados out there that really like wet lathers, and so they may think that this one's just right. And there we go. Rinse out the razor. Shake. Get some of those droplets out. Clean my gear and my shirt and my face now. You know what I bet? I'll bet it was the aftershave that kind of stained my hand towel. Because I didn't really rinse, I didn't really wipe a lot of lather on it. So I don't think it was the soap. I guess it could be. Just strop the brush. He's looking good, ready to go. So yeah, we did not pour the whole jigger in. About 33 milliliters of water was used today. Speaking of splash, time for that. Aftershave lotion, if you prefer to call it that. I know most of my life, before I got into this hobby, I called it aftershave lotion, because that's just in America. Here, that's just what we always call it, even though a lotion normally, under any other situation, is a viscous like thing. Like here, moisturizing lotion. But when it has a big scent and guys use it after they shave, we have somehow years ago they called it aftershave lotion, when it's really more of a balm. When it's really more of a splash or an alcohol type product. Yeah, I'm not getting as much of the smell of the menthol with this new bottle, and I like that. Okay, that is the shave. Pretty quick. Knowing how much water is typically used really does help to speed things up. If you keep track of that, maybe on a post-it on your mirror, for instance, then you can then you'll have it memorized. You know, so there's a couple things you can do there. And if you, let's say 30 milliliters of water is what you normally need, then it's probably safe to add 20 and then add the last bit as you see fit, because maybe your soap loading didn't quite go how you wanted. You know, if you loaded more soap, then boy, you'll know to add more water, or if you loaded a little bit less soap, then you might not need your normal amount of water. So, you know, there's all kinds of variables there. Of course, if you switch brushes, that could change things too. So we're good. Everything's clean. I'll put another dot on my card here. All right. Well, thanks so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.